My name is Stephen. I come from a poor family. Life was tough, but I never lost hope. My father passed away when I was very young. I had to fight for survival every day. School was a struggle, but I stayed determined. Education was my only way out of poverty. I worked small jobs after school every day to help my family and save some money. People laughed at me, said I would fail, but I used their doubts as fuel to succeed. Every day was a battle, but I never gave up. Hope kept me moving forward. I dreamed of a better life for myself and my family, and I promised to make it happen. I faced rejection, but never let it break me. Each no made me stronger. I studied hard, even when tired and hungry, because I knew knowledge was power. Slowly but surely, things began to change. Opportunities started coming my way. I faced failures but refused to quit. Every setback was a lesson to learn. I kept pushing despite the pain and fear, knowing success was near. Friends left, but my focus stayed strong. I was on a mission to prove them wrong. Nights were long, but my dreams were bigger. Determination was my constant trigger. I sacrificed comfort for a brighter future. Believing hard work is the truest culture. I learned to hustle even when tired, because quitting was never required. Challenges came, but I faced them head on, building strength from dusk till dawn. I made mistakes, but I kept moving. Failure was just a part of improving. I never let doubt control my mind. My goals were clear, one of a kind. I stayed humble but fought with pride, knowing one day I'd reach the other side. I met mentors who guided my way. Their wisdom helped me every day. I read books that inspired my soul. Feeding my mind was my ultimate goal. I faced loneliness but found inner peace. In solitude, my worries ceased. I believed in the power of persistence. Success was born from consistent existence. I embraced failures as stepping stones, building bridges from stones and bones. I celebrated small wins on the road. Each one added strength to my load. I kept my vision crystal clear, focused on dreams, nothing to fear. I learned patience was a key. Good things come eventually. I pushed limits beyond the known, exploring paths on my own. I kept my heart strong and pure, believing dreams could endure. I fought battles within my mind, seeking peace I hoped to find. I stayed awake while others slept. Promises to myself were deeply kept. I faced critics who doubted me. Their words only fueled my energy. I worked hard in silence and sweat. My story was not over yet. I learned to adapt and grow, facing every high and low. I built faith beyond what I could see, trusting the journey's mystery. I kept my spirit brave and bold, stories of success to be told. I never let fear hold me back, focused on staying on track. I found strength in every fall, rising up to stand tall. I surrounded myself with positive vibes, cutting off all toxic tribes. I kept my goals in sharp sight, working hard day and night. I believed in my own voice, making every choice my own choice. I faced storms but stayed calm, holding on like a steady palm. I learned lessons from every loss, counting each one as a boss. I dreamed big beyond the sky, aiming for stars way up high. I kept grinding, no time to rest, giving every challenge my best. I embraced struggle with open arms, knowing it would bring me charms. I stayed focused through the pain, knowing sunshine follows rain. I refused to settle for less, chasing dreams with eagerness. I found courage deep inside. With it, I took every stride. I believed that hard work pays, even through the darkest days. I never stopped learning new things. Growth was the song my heart sings. I kept faith even when alone, building my path stone by stone. I stayed true to who I am, working towards my master plan. I overcame doubts and fears, wiping away all the tears. I took risks others wouldn't dare, climbing ladders with care. I found hope in every dream, even when things weren't what they seem. I refused to quit or stop, kept pushing till I reached the top. I stayed hungry for success, never settling for anything less. I kept my eyes on the prize, no matter how hard the skies. I believed in my own power, growing stronger every hour. I faced failures but kept faith, knowing success is never late. I stood tall despite the pain, learning to dance in the rain. I worked hard when no one saw, knowing my time would come to draw. I embraced change and grew, becoming someone bold and new. I kept my mind sharp and clear, focused on what I hold dear. I faced challenges without fear, holding my vision near. I stayed humble through the climb, taking one step at a time. I learned to listen and learn, waiting for my big turn. I believed in the power of now, taking action, no time to bow. I stayed patient through the wait, knowing my future is great. I kept pushing through the night, holding on to what is right. I stayed focused on my goal, determined to reach my soul. I learned lessons from mistakes, making sure no more breaks. I kept my heart open wide, ready for the rising tide. I believed that I can win, no matter where I begin. I embraced the grind and pain, knowing there's much to gain. I stayed strong and never weak, even when the future seemed bleak. I faced fears and took the leap. Promises made I would keep. I kept my dreams alive each day, guiding me along the way. I ignored the noise and stayed in my lane, focused only on what I can gain. I found joy in every small win, because big victories begin within. I stayed true to my vision and aim, never played the shortcut game. I kept rising after every fall, because I was born to stand tall. I learned from those who came before, and built my path with even more. I trusted my process each day, letting my hustle lead the way. I didn't wait for someone to save me. I became my own hero bravely. I walked alone when no one cared, but kept going because I was prepared. I believed in my inner flame. It kept burning through the shame. I didn't need to prove my worth. I knew my value from birth. I turned pain into purpose and drive. It gave me power to survive. I stopped begging for chances. I started creating my own advances. I made peace with who I was, and worked for what I must become. I honored the struggle I endured, because it made my vision pure. I kept a promise to my inner child, to dream big and stay wild. I learned to enjoy the journey more, even when it made me sore. I never lost faith in my plan, no matter how rough things began. I found courage in the unknown, even when I stood alone. I didn't wait for perfect days. I created light in my own ways. I showed up every single time, ready to climb and shine. I embraced pressure with calm mind. Diamonds form under grind. I trusted the silence I heard. My soul understood each word. I kept my inner peace guarded, even when storms had started. I let go of what held me back, so I could run on my track. I stopped chasing what wasn't mine. I focused on my own shine. I stayed in love with my grind, with purpose so clearly defined. I turned rejection into redirection, and found strength in reflection. I never envied others' success. I knew my time would impress. I stayed rooted in my truth, even when I was in my youth. I gave life everything I had, even when I felt broken and sad. I kept my fire burning strong, through every right and wrong. I chose growth over fear. With every passing year, I silenced every doubt inside, and let my heart be my guide. I didn't ask for anyone's okay. I gave myself permission each day. I climbed alone with steady pace, and earned my rightful place. I let failure shape my core. It taught me to want more. I fell, but I did not break. My spirit stayed wide awake. I took each challenge with grace, knowing success takes space. I didn't race. I built slow, so my roots could grow. I kept walking through the dark, guided only by my inner spark. I kept building when no one clapped, because I knew I was being mapped. I stayed loyal to my dreams, even when torn at the seams. I found silence was my strength, and peace carried me great length. I never waited for applause. My purpose needed no pause. I kept my hands full with effort, while my soul remained alert. I honored the work behind my smile, knowing it would be worth the while. I turned storms into stories and scars into glories. I built faith with every fall until I stood proud and tall. I embraced the hard truth each day. No shortcut would ever pay. I never stopped believing in light, even in the longest night. I led myself through fear, step by step, year by year. I fought the battles unseen to build a life so clean. I shaped greatness from my pain, letting no suffering go in vain. I built a life from nothing but grit and refused ever to quit. I created success brick by brick, even when time wasn't quick. I valued the struggle and strain. It brought purpose, not just gain. I believed in my unique path, even if others laughed. I grew through every test, becoming stronger than the rest. I chose discipline every day, even when I lost my way. I trusted time and effort will blend to bring me victory in the end. I stopped explaining my dream and started building my team. I wrote my story with each step, without regret or prep. I didn't beg to be seen. I focused on what I mean. I chose action over fear, and vision became clear. I made pain my greatest teacher, and purpose became my preacher. I kept rising after each fall. My destiny was to stand tall. I honored the path I walk, even when others mock. I turned silence into power, and bloomed like a flower. I kept faith till the very end, and became my own best friend. I faced many nights filled with uncertainty, but I never let go of my journey. I remembered why I started it all. That reason made me stand tall. I chose legacy over applause, with meaning as my cause. I kept going even when it hurt, because giving up would be worse. I kept my dreams alive like flame, and carved success in my name. I walked through fire with pride, knowing greatness takes that ride. I stayed true, I stayed real, no matter how hard life made me feel. I turned my pain into power, and bloomed like a warrior flower. I earned my place through grit, and now I proudly sit. I believed I was made for more, and finally opened my own door. I rose, I fought, I won my way. Now I stand proud today.